Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Whatever time you're watching this and wherever you're watching this from. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another video, as you can see. And my question is, why the hell can't we afford anything? And why is everything so expensive? And why are people acting blind to the fact that inflation is up, grocery prices are up in most areas? I won't say every single area, but grocery prices are going up by at least 3.2%. Unemployment rate's up, inflation's up, and there's a lot of people just, I mean, seemingly acting normal, but in reality, it seems as though everybody that are actually living in reality right now, they're struggling. They're struggling. They can't afford groceries, and I mean, these are full-time workers, people with full-time jobs. You have federal workers going to the food banks for assistance. Obviously, we have the SNAP benefits, the food stamp recipients. We have those people. We have the hardworking people. You got the 70, 80 hours a week people, and you see it. You see it in the comment sections, because especially if you're going and you go and look at some of these comment sections for the food stamps and all that stuff, you see that, there's two different types of people that are in the comments, and they're mad about two separate things. But really, the problem is, I think, one greater problem than just the food stamps and the assistance, the governmental assistance. I think the real problem is, well, hold, let me tell you the two different arguments. One, you have just some heartless people that just don't care that families are struggling to put food on the table. Even hardworking families, they don't care. They don't care if you work a full-time job. If you get any type of assistance, you have certain people that they don't care. They would rather you get out and work. They rather you work no matter what. Like they don't care. They want you to work. If you're disabled, they want you to work. If you're, because I've literally heard people saying that. And the second are people that do work, and they're angry. They're very angry because they work full-time jobs. They work 60 hours a week. Some of us work more, some of us work less. But they're mad because they work all this time, and like, they can't afford anything. Like, that's the boat that I'm in. And it's not that we can't afford anything, it's just we can't afford like the things that we want to actually have. Like, I remember it was a time when I first was working a full-time job, and you could work and be comfortable, right? You could work, pay your bills, and have a little bit of comfortability. Now, it's never been like super, super, super crazy, but there was a time where you could work and you could save money, right? You could save money. You could go on a vacation or trip if you want to, once in a while. But it seems that has just completely changed. And if you listen to some people and they're talking about like the state of the world and stuff like that, if you're listening to certain people, it's like they're just completely blind to it. It's like they just don't even understand it. But in reality, there is a lot of people that are struggling. They're going through the same things, right? They're going through the same things everybody else is going through, right? And some people it's just embarrassing for them, right? Like, they maybe have never dealt with a time where they're struggling to keep food on the table, or they're struggling to, pay their rent, or they're struggling to just to live comfortably. And there's certain people that don't want to be like social media influencers, or they don't want to be something greater than life, or whatever, bigger than life. Some people are just simply okay with just working their 9 to 5 job, working their full-time job. There's some people that love their jobs, but if you go and just if you're on the internet whatsoever, then it's almost impossible for you to miss people coming on there and saying they work full time, right? They're not SNAP benefit recipients, or maybe they are SNAP benefits recipients and they still work full time and they still need assistance. So the bigger problem is it's clear. It's an economic issue versus people saying, "Oh, like why does 42 million Americans need SNAP benefits?" Which it is a valid question, because why do 42 million Americans need benefits, right? Or they need assistance whenever it seemed just a few years ago. Well, I would say before the last president, and maybe even before that, like it was starting to trend downward to where people couldn't live their regular life anymore. So it's a question of what has happened to the economy to the point where you're going to a grocery store and you're spending $12 on eggs, you're spending $5 on milk, you're spending, just over exaggerated prices for some of these products. And I understand why, because of the tariffs, because of inflation, because of everything else. I get that. Like, that's clear. But why are Americans struggling to pay for things that they once didn't struggle to pay for? So I mean, it is a great question. Why so many people need assistance? Why so many people need this stuff? And I'm not talking about like the single moms that are suffering, or like the elderly or the disabled, but these are able-bodied working people, not lazy, not whatever your thought of them is. Like, these are federal workers, these are healthcare workers, these are nurses, doctors, like, and these people make good money. A lot of people make good money. Not everybody makes that type of money, but a lot of people that are still like coming out, and they're not too prideful to actually explain like they still need assistance. And because a lot of people are either over or under the poverty level, and it's like the majority of people are under the poverty level, that's why they need the assistance. But why are people living under the poverty level? And especially in this time when the economy is rumored to be the greatest economy we've ever had, right? And groceries, according to our president, all grocery prices are down besides beef. If you believe that. If you believe that, that's fine. But regular people that are going to the stores and buying their groceries, they're budgeting. If you just like look around, people are maybe buying 5 bags of groceries or less, when it used to be like, now it's just people complaining about the EBT users and the SNAP benefit users, like they got full carts full of food and this and this and that, right? Which is completely understandable when we have worked and we're looking around like, dang, these people are getting all this food and we can't afford it. Like, some outrageous prices sometimes for what people spend on their grocery bills, and regular working people can't even afford it. So it does get you upset, in a sense. It does. Not saying that it's right to look down on people, or say those people don't need their assistance, or whatever, because truth be told, they do. If you go in and you look case by case, if you look case by case, it's going to be a little bit different, right? Because there very well probably is people taking advantage of the system, right? They figured out how they're gonna do it. They got it all together, figured out whatever, and that's okay, right? Like, those very few people aren't the biggest problem, right? There are a problem, and I feel like that should be addressed, in the right manner. Like, it should definitely be addressed. Like, if you get found to be corrupting the system, or you're trying to get over on the system or whatever. And it's like, to those people, there should be a clear cutoff point where, like, you have to work. You have to go in and actually do something or give back, right? I won't even say like technically go to a job, because some people, like, it's not great for their mental, but I feel like some type of work will work. Like, maybe you don't have to go to a physical place, but like there's remote jobs, like there's work from home jobs. But also, I feel like on the other hand, for the job creators or the business owners, they should make it at least a little bit like more available, jobs available, and a little bit easier to get. So it's kind of demoralizing whenever you have people that have been working in positions, that felt like maybe they was in a stable position, and they probably have been, but now they might have a for their specific company, their CEO might come and say, oh, we're integrating AI technology, or we're going to lay off all of these employees, and you wake up without a job, right? And they're like, we're going to lay off these employees, we're going to fire these people, we're going to furlough the federal workers, and then lay them off due to whatever their beliefs are, right? The problem is, these people are human beings, right? Just like all of us. What I would like to think, all of us are human beings, but the problem is, it's human beings, especially in America, where we live in a country where it should be the land of the free, even though it's not. But it should be the land of the free, right? It shouldn't be you work a full-time job all your life and it feels like slavery, right? Because some people like their jobs, but it's made people grown to hate their job or the certain companies that they work for. And it may not even be a lot of these companies' fault, because it's like they're dealing with the stuff too. They're dealing with the tariffs, they're dealing with all this stuff. They have to make their groceries go up due to inflation and stuff. But the fact of the matter is that we are dealing with this stuff. We're in the middle of inflation. We're in the middle of a high unemployment rates. It's not that much higher than it was a few years back, but it's definitely higher than it was. And so, and then for us to have a president that's just saying, like, basically, um, all groceries are down besides beef, is just simply just not true. And I know a lot of people are gonna hate that I'm saying that, and it's not a political thing. It's about what's right and what's wrong, and what's the fact of the matter is, if you go look it up yourself, are grocery prices going up? Yes, they're going up. They're going up by 3.2% through whatever other percentile that they had, right? So the fact of the matter is that it's hardworking people, it's human beings that are having to make decisions between healthcare and feeding themselves, right, or feeding their children, and that's just simply not right, especially in the United States of America, right? Where people should have open opportunities, people should be able to use their intelligence to get the positions that they've worked for. A lot of these people have went to college. They've done, they've based their whole life on going to college, or going to school, going to college. Some people have still became successful without it, but a lot of people have been sold this, their whole life. Like, you want to go to school, go to college, and then hopefully you get a good job when you get out. Or a lot of people, it felt as if they was guaranteed a good job whenever they got out of school. And just in the economy that we're in right now, it's just simply just, it's not guaranteed that you're going to get a great job, right? It's not guaranteed that you're going to get even the position, or they're even going to have the position open whenever it's time for you to actually get that job. And then by that time, you're already in debt, because the idea is, right, like, you get in debt from this college or from whatever, and then you get your good job, and then eventually you're able to pay it off in a few years or whatever. But it's like, now it's almost worthless. It's almost worthless. Like, people are still going to school, and there's still a lot of people that are blinded by it, and they're just like, it's going to be good in a couple of years, it's going to be fine. But the question is, like, is it really going to be okay, and is it getting better, or is it getting worse? Because it's seemingly growing in stature. How many videos and how many people, everyday people, just like you and me, everyday people are coming to the internet and explaining how they're struggling, and they're working, and they're trying, and they're doing their best. But You can't do anything whenever you've been paying a certain rent for years, and then out of the blue it goes up $300, or you open your car insurance and it goes up $100, $80, whatever, right? A lot of people say, oh, you're living above your means. Like, some people are, they can just afford exactly what they can afford, and that's just what they was used to, right? You get a pay wage, you manage your money, right, and you're able to pay your bills, and then you put aside, like, you know how much you make, right? So you're able to pay your bills and put it aside. But the problem actually is, it's like the economy, because as many jobs as they're saying are being created, it's like twice as many jobs are getting um, destroyed. And then if you go and look at a lot of people that are in control of the AI technology, or the corporate owners, or the business owners and things that own some of these huge companies that are integrating AI technology, they're excited about it. But in the same breath, they're also saying, yes, there probably will be a lot of job layoffs, and due to this, so we can strengthen the company, so we can make the company better, so we can, make the business model better, grow, whatever, make their profit margins grow. But at what cost? They're making it grow, but at the cost of regular human beings losing their jobs, losing their positions. And if you haven't seen that, then you're just not looking, or you're choosing to just not look at it, because reality is, there's tech, retail, manufacturing jobs. All these fields are being impacted by AI. So if the economy's so great, why are we going through this? And when's it gonna end? I just wanted to come have a chat with y'all, have a conversation with y'all, because I see it everywhere. I see it everywhere where people are coming out and just saying they're struggling. And I mean, these are people with great jobs, make good money, and they still can't afford anything. So tell me what y'all think in the comments. If you happen to see this video, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you. Love you guys. I'm out.